My roommates threw away my stuff because I refused to cook for them for free.
Throw away your roommates.
Yeah, and then make yourself a delicious dinner. I debated telling this last story after the whole saga with my mother-in-law and ex-wife. Would love to see that. But I mentioned it before so many times that I may as well tell it. But it'll probably be my last post here. Just the final in this random OP saga. I know it seems like I've dealt with a lot of terrible people in my life. I just suppose I am a magnet for it. My terrible mother, my mother, terrible ex-wife, and my terrible mother-in-law passed away before becoming my ex-mother-in-law. Bad coworker that gave out my phone number to my mother, and lastly, some bad roommates from my college days. But beyond that, I haven't really dealt with much of anyone else of note. I've got good friends, a good job, and I'm physically active.
Ooh, in what way?
In the sick way. Spicy sleep way.
Wow, Riley. Cancel him. But there were a few times I was just drawing in narcissist, hopefully no more. Back in college, I had to deal with 3 bad roommates for 6 months. It was community college, so no dorm, just a rundown apartment that looked right out of the 80s. By the way, this came right from my keys were stolen from the r/OK Storytime subreddit, which, by the way, I think, Riley, this is your favorite author.
What?
I think this is the person who made the story of the mom that stole the keys, the antique key collection.
No!
Yeah, I think this is the same OP.
Who did this?
I think this is the same OP.
Who found this story?
So I was balancing school, part-time work, and so didn't have a lot of money. We might get a lot of pontification, though. We're going to see. Funny thing is, I was literally the only one who knew anything about cooking, much less did dishes. I wasn't one of those hardcore couponers, and there was really only 2 good stores in walking/biking distance. One, a typical supermarket, the other, a small discount food store. That's where I went most of the time. I was also no stranger to the local thrift store. My roommates mostly ate junk food or whatever else they could grab that was already made, so for obvious reasons, I couldn't keep leftovers. We also had fights about them not doing their share of cleaning, but that also was resolved later as well. 2 of these guys said they were friends before college, and the 3rd roommate fit right in with them for a while. But the drama over the food first started when I made myself an egg sandwich for breakfast.
Oh, boy. You know what, John?
What?
I'd love to know how those eggs were made.
You know...
Like, what type of eggs? Do you think that OP will tell us what type of eggs they are?
Is it soft-boiled?
Like, yeah.
Is it over easy with a runny yolk, Sophia?
I don't know. Because, like, normally I'd be like, oh, that's not super, necessary information. But right now, I think I want to know.
Well, Sophia, this was 2 eggs over easy or medium with your choice of cheese, bread, or mayo.
Oh!
Wow. I'm salivating. It's actually pretty good and a solid breakfast. One of my roommates saw me eating it and asked for one too. I apologetically said no because I was on a tight food budget. Man, when you can't spare a few eggs and some loaves of bread, brother.
And John, it's that time of year.
It's that time of year. He has 3 kids.
He's got 3 kids and a mortgage.
Oh my gosh.
It's that time of year.
Call
and his
back.
eggs are runny.
All back to other episodes. And the frying pan was already in the sink. He rolled his eyes and groaned. I told him they were easy to make them himself if he bought the ingredients, but he balks at the notion. Another day, I made mashed soft-boiled eggs for breakfast. That attracted more attention. It's eggs boiled just enough to where the whites are cooked, Sophia. The whites are cooked.
Can we get a recipe?
Oh, please. Dude, let's get the keys to cooking.
Keys to cooking.
A cookbook by My Keys Were Stolen,
Oh.
right? But the yolk is still solid. You peel the eggshell off and mash the eggs in a bowl with a fork, and it can be easy to mess up, and I only really succeed half the time. But, Sophia, with just basic seasoning and sometimes a little hot sauce.
Not all the time.
Haven't made it in a while, but I like to eat it on toast and sometimes over rice. Hey.
What else do you do with it?
I also made an egg salad from time to time.
No way.
Right? Eggs were cheap and basically $1 a carton at the discount store. I'm also not a big fan of cereal, as I had to eat a lot growing up. We heard a lot about that in our past story.
Yeah, didn't you dig through the trash?
Yeah, something like that. Like his mom, he basically had to raise himself as like a like Tarzan from 8 years old.
I swear to
Live in
God,
the
if we
forest.
don't hear about his bike, I don't want to finish the story.
Dude, that is required reading. And I prefer a warm breakfast without a lot of sugar. No matter how much I told my roommates they could cook their own food, if they just let me show them how, they just kept complaining that I made the food that they weren't allowed to eat because it is food.
That's what I say whenever I go to a restaurant. I'm like, you guys made all this food and I have to pay for it? Just give it to me.
You already
made it.
You're literally cooking this food. What's another? Just throw in another thing.
Yeah, it's like when you go to the sushi buffet things and they just like go on around and around. It's like, just give me all the sushi. Compared
to these guys, I was the only broke person there. They all had the latest gaming consoles and new laptops. One of them even had a car. Whoa. I had an old Nintendo 64, a CRT TV that were pity gifts from friends from prior years, a GameCube I splurged on, and a used laptop I got secondhand. My roommates were near constantly gaming, watching YouTube, and being general couch potatoes when not in class. I think they thought I'd be a pushover at first, but I'm the kind of guy that seems chill till you push me one step too far, and oh, don't we know that. And they did this by stealing my game systems and my food.
No!
Whoa.
I'm okay with you stealing the game system, but I draw the line at the eggs.
They're $1 a carton.
Those eggs are expensive.
Oh my God. So here's what happened. One evening, I made something good for my dinner. Don't remember specifically what it was, but it might have been tilapia fillets. I ate those a lot. Even made them into little spicy fish burgers. Ooh.
Did you know that they feed tilapia chicken?
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Big facts. My roommates all ganged up on me over how their dinners always sucked unless they ate out. Microwave food all around for them on many nights, and they wanted me to finally make something nice for everybody.
The house to me.
Right? Oh, true. That's so true. Also, OP should just say, yeah, I'm going to be second. Why don't you guys make one for all of us first? Yeah. And then I'll be second. Done.
And then we'll take turns.
They'll shut up forever. I told my roommates that if they each kicked in $5, I'd make us all a nice spaghetti dinner the next day. They agreed. My biggest mistake was not collecting the money from them in advance.
You freaking fool.
Dude, they're about to steal $15. And I'm gonna be like,
well, you know, spaghetti is about 99 cents.
Talk about it.
Spaghetti sauce?
Yep.
That's about $4.
Try $6.99. Sophia.
If you're making that from scratch, that's about maybe $5.
Oh God, we're just so many things. So many rabbit holes.
That's a total of $6, John.
Oh,
and
man.
if you get roused, it's going to be $10
that's
for
a criminal
offense. And if I get the ground beef and onions.
Also, I just want everyone to know who like maybe hasn't seen the Keys store. Yeah. We're not being unjustly mean to this man.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
He's painfully detailed. Painfully.
Yeah.
Like whenever I went to school, it was like how to write a story, talking about a baseball game. You don't talk about what everyone in these stands are wearing. You talk about what happens in the baseball game.
That's such a good analogy. Yeah, I love that. If you want to find it, search My Keys Are Stolen on our YouTube channel. I think it'll show up.
No, save yourself some time and watch any other story.
Yeah, true. So I went out. I got some ground beef, a jar of sauce, a loaf of garlic bread, the noodles, and some canned green beans for a side. I whipped up a great dinner, but when I wanted the money from each of them, they laughed, and refused. They played what they did off as a joke. When I didn't accept that, we were just kidding, bro, it's a prank. When I didn't accept that answer, they told me that they were sick of me flaunting my cooking around them and never freaking sharing it.
It smells so good.
If you smell it! Smells so good. Stop it. You're taunting us on purpose. I gave them the finger, and I told them I'd never cook for them again, and I stuck to that. They tried several more times. I always refused. They even offered to pay me again, but still refused to pay me for the first time. So
put it on my tab.
Put it on my tab. So I'm sure they would have just pulled the same stunt again. Money or no money, I had my pride.
Don't stand down, OP.
Don't stand down. And I meant it when I said I would never cook for them again. They started acting like kids whose parents wouldn't feed them around me. And were pretty angry when I called them out on it.
You can either pay me money or call me daddy, and I'll cook for you. Because they're their kids.
Say, daddy, give me some food. Give me them nom-noms.
What do you think about that, Sophia?
What do you think?
I don't know.
I know there's definitely one roommate that definitely would call me that to get some food. And we all know who that is.
Yeah, we do.
We all know. Now, I didn't know what kind of homes these guys came from, but they certainly weren't used to not getting their way. They weren't raised in a box in the ground like me.
They didn't dig out of the trash for their meals. I ratatouille'd
God.
my way up to this kitchen.
Dude, we got to find this guy and have him on the show.
Yeah.
We really got to have him as a guest. But anyways, one day I came home from work and found all my food missing from the fridge and cupboards, and none of my roommates were home. I was furious and couldn't even confront them about it. So I just tried to go play video games to unwind, but my consoles were missing.
He's like, wait a minute, the couch was missing. Wait a minute, they moved out.
Wait a minute, the apartment is demolished. I'm standing in the field. Time to dig. But thank you, Riley. But when my consoles were missing, I lost my mind.
He was like, they stole my food, so I went to play video games. But I couldn't even do that.
I couldn't even do that. What's the deal with my roommates? Anyways,
In truth, if it wasn't this guy telling the story, I'd be like, that sucks, man.
right?
But
Yeah,
it's this guy
100%.
telling the
Yeah,
story.
yeah. We're like, no. I went to see an acquainted neighbor living in one of the apartments down the hall and asked advice from him because he was the one who sold me the GameCube. He had an evil idea and said he'd use his digital camera to record my roommates when I confronted them if I wanted to, but only if I paid him $20. What? Bros, dude, what's going on? He's like, everyone's
Scamming this
everyone's
guy.
scamming OP.
It's
Oh my God.
gullible.
Yeah,
Right?
I think it's your fault.
OP.
You know, this is his problem. He does things and thinks after it and then overthinks it and then writes it down on Reddit.
Yeah. So next sentence proves your point exactly. I didn't really have a choice but to agree. Brother, you had every choice on planet Earth. Anyways. So when my roommates finally came back, oh, my toe. Oh,
It hurts too.
that was so weird. When my roommates finally came back, they were all smug until they realized their gaming consoles and laptops were all missing. They flipped out, threatening to kick my butt, but I held my ground and told them I wanted my stuff back or I'd never tell them where their stuff was. Turns out,
little Cold War.
oh, Cold War turned real hot. Turns out they had bagged up all my food and threw it away in the dumpster outside a few hours earlier. What
Why?
charmers. Then they hid my game systems and TV somewhere in the building before taking off to party. I asked them why they did that, and they claimed it was because they had just been drinking all day since it was a weekend. Then they tried to say it was a stupid, wasted joke, while also telling me I'd gone too far. I laughed and said they were enormous hypocrites and a-holes to say that I went too far after what they did. I just got even. One of them looked like he was ready to frickin' hit me, and I drew all their attention to a nearby window. That's where they all saw our neighbor outside the window recording everything with his digital camera. He gave me the okay. Good old
And
thumbs
this
up,
is John
partner.
Quinones on What Would You Do?
And took off down the fire escape before my roommates could do anything. I told them that guy just recorded their entire admission in 240p's. That was bullying, theft, and underage drinking since we were all under 21 at the time. I told them that I would take that recording to the dean if they didn't make things right.
Oh my God, you're blackmailing them?
Dude, OP, this is OP's village origin story right
Really?
here. Because they wouldn't like having that stuff as part of their records, it was well known a couple of girls had been ousted from the college for roommate bullying the previous year, and drinking while underage is also a huge no-no. It looked like the color had drained from all of their faces. I told them I wanted my stuff back now and the cost of my food reimbursed. It was their move. I have to say, as much as we clown on OP, I do like this
Brilliant.
chess move. It's
Brilliant.
Kind of fun.
What are they going to do?
Yeah, and it's just like so infuriatingly annoying to have them like constantly make me food, make me food.
Yeah.
And they throw away your food and
And steal your gaming console, which
Dude.
is a step too far.
it's just the food to me is already so crazy.
Oh yeah.
Like it's
for realsies, guys.
Talk to me, realsies.
I would be really upset about that food being gone.
What'd you
'cause
do?
That's expensive.
what would you do?
What would you do?
I want action. Give me some action.
What would I do if someone?
Yeah,
threw
I
out
went
all my
into your fridge and
food?
threw away all your toe food.
Oh,
and
I would
said-
come to your room and I would say, Riley, why did you do that? And I
It's
would
just
kinda-
a
I'd probably
joke.
be crying.
It's just a joke, and I threw away all your sweet potatoes and sauces too.
I'd probably be crying, and then you would probably immediately be like, I'm so sorry. Because
I'm drunk at this point
you're
and
drunk.
have no feelings.
What happened? Why are you drunk? You started drinking, Riley?
In this scenario.
Is something
Total change of character.
Well, now that you're drunk, I'm like, Riley, what's going on? You're a totally different person.
Yeah. Like, let's talk.
And then I take you to rehab.
Wow. You
That-
dragged me by my feet to rehab.
Mm-hmm.
That was.
This is my first time I drank, though.
It's my first time. Give me a break. I swear it usually doesn't end like this. Oh, man. Anyways, so they all took off outside as fast as they could. They came back with my game system and games in a garbage bag and even retrieved my food from the dumpster and expected me to just take it. What did you just do?
I dropped it. It's okay. It's really far away.
Lip balm? No, I'm going to get it for you.
Oh, thank you. Sanita Thomas's Down the Fire Escape is hilarious. Caitlin on comment says, what the F is happening in this guy's head? Eliana Bain says, he did use an inordinate amount of words to tell the story, though. This is the guy in your discussion post that's like, I totally agree with your point. That's an excellent point, and I agree with it.
But I have to add 14 bullets as
Yeah.
to why.
Yeah.
But why?
Yeah. But
What's the why? What's the what?
Conspiracy theory, OP cooked all his food, and he was like, eat this, then turned around and was like, hey, you owe me money. And now roommates are just getting justice.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Like he
always
never
two sides.
actually, the whole part about him asking for the $5 and everything was, could
yeah,
be.
he was like, I'll make you guys for free. And then he was like, actually, I want your money. And they were like,
Yep.
Or just like, guys, I'm making dinner, thinking
Yeah.
in his head like, oh yeah, they should pay me back. And then he's like, hey, where's the $5? They're like, you just said we're making dinner. Lindsay, you could be onto something. Lindsay in the chat,
Mhm.
+1. But back to OP. I refused to touch the food because it had been in the garbage for hours and I would only accept casheroni. Additionally, they dropped my TV and it was broken, so I wanted that replaced too. They hemmed and they hawed, but finally asked me what I wanted. I said I wanted a new TV and $60 cash from each of them.
Ooh.
We're getting the big bucks
$60.
now. That's a lot. And this is a little while ago. OP
Yeah.
was an old adult. They asked what specific number. I said $50 each to replace the food they tossed and $5 each for the spaghetti dinner that they had reneged on paying for. And then what remained for having to pay for a guy to wait 2 hours outside of a window in the cold to record. He's still got to get his fees.
He's like, you also have to pay for the blackmail that I got on
Yeah,
you.
right. It's like when you pay for the court fees,
Yeah.
except it's like the neighbor who has a camera. Oh my God. They all got their wallets out and begrudgingly gave me the money.
Whoa.
They had all previously bragged about how their parents and scholarships were footing their bills, so they easily had the cash. After getting paid, I told them where to find their stuff I'd hidden, and they stopped bothering me. One of them had a small flat screen TV in his stuff and just gave it to me to replace the one that they broke.
Nice.
And then we called things even. But after that, they avoided speaking to me if at all possible, though eventually they all started to get on each other's nerves since I'd ruined their fun. They also never bought drinks into the apartment again for fear that I would snitch. And they did try to harass the guy I'd paid to record them. He said he'd take the recording to the dean himself if they bothered him again.
Yeah,
Dude.
why would you harass the guy with the blackmail?
These guys are once again, Crab and Goyle.
Literally.
Crab and Goyle energy. Crazy Crab and Goyle. Just
Silly
like,
boys.
I'll take no.
I'll beat you up. And he's like, dude, I
I'll
got
beat
I
you
have
up.
blackmail on
It was
you.
like,
They're like,
I could
oh,
literally ruin everything for you. Like,
yeah.
oh, I didn't think about that.
Oh.
Anyways, so they were SOL to do anything about the situation. When the lease renew came, two of the roommates opted to move out of the building because they and the third guy now hated each other. And yeah, they all hated me. But the two that left were especially the worst. But they liked each other just fine, didn't bother to keep tabs on them once they were out. And the few classes we had together, they kept away from me. And the one roommate that stayed actually made some improvement as a person and made sure to tell the new guys who moved in not to mess with me at all.
You know what? Actually, we'll do the thing and then I'll say what I know.
Love triangle. Or love. I see love.
Whoa.
Love.
You know what I always love, though? The fact that you can listen to full-length episodes of stories just like this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Guys, if you just go to Spotify and wherever you listen to podcasts, type in OK Storytime, almost 1,900 episodes right there. for you to listen to.
And that's almost 2,000.
That's almost 2,000.
If you round up.
Y2K.
And that stands for YouTube 2K.
Ooh. But Sophia, please complete your incompleted thought.
Yes. You know what? Props to frickin' OP for telling a story under 20,000 words.
Wow.
That was fairly entertaining.
Hey, we got some entertainment.
Had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and only a little bit of extra info that we didn't need.
It's the food.
Food.
He cannot talk about like making things or anything.
This is that
He'll go.
Oh my god, he is those recipe websites that have to tell you their whole backstory before they give you the recipe. This is his recipe for eggs. He's just posted a recipe for eggs, but he had to tell you the whole story before we got the recipe for eggs.
You just like hit my soul.
Yeah.
Just insanely. Those websites
there we go.
should be, everyone who makes them should be thrown in jail for 1,000 years.
1,000 years.
And cryogenically frozen so they can complete their sentence of 1,000 years.
Yeah. I agree.
It's a crime.
And don't let them have access to a computer because otherwise they'll take those 1,000 years to write another recipe.
They'll make 1,000 years of recipes.
Yeah.
They aren't recipes.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
I don't wanna.
I don't want it. Caitlin Comment says, OMG, I hate those websites. That's why I like the New York Times cooking app. Because there is I don't need to hear about your life story.
We don't need it.
Don't need it.
My mom has some like Chrome extension that like cuts out. It like just finds the recipe.
Oh.
It just finds the recipe in all the gobbledygook and then it gives you that or something. Anyways.
Harriet Spaghetti says some people are on Reddit because they don't have friends to talk to. OP is one of them. Well, he did tell us that all of his roommates hate him. So sorry, OP.
That is a possibly, unfortunately, accurate thing. But we're gonna get back to our friend OP.
Our friend.
Keys were stolen. One of them was pretty cool though, the roommates, and he actually liked cooking simple home meals like I did. He also liked Nintendo and bikes. This guy, Opie's gonna marry this guy.
He's like, he liked Nintendo, he liked bikes, and he liked cooking, and he didn't steal from me.
Ooh, did he grow up in a hole too? He became my best friend.
Okay, that's cute.
That's cute. And still is to this day. We even play Mario Kart together when we can. Now I want to play Mario Kart. And took up cycling together once I separated from my ex-wife. He's been my greatest supporter ever. More than any family I've ever had. That is true. Anyone is better than any family Opie's ever had. Also, for those wondering where I'd hid my roommate's stuff, I'd hid them all. Right? I hid them all in their own suitcases that were already put away in their closets. That's a little
diabolical.
That's diabolically smart.
Genius.
Which would have been one of the last places they looked. They were also pissed. It was all right there the whole time.
That's low-key a great place to hide something.
Oh my gosh, OP, you're
who's opening
amazing.
a suitcase?
You're so amazing and smart. I would have never thought of that.
Though, because it's usually empty, right? You're like,
this is heavy.
Hang on. But I put my little suitcase in my big suitcase, though. So I could get confused. If there's a GameCube in there, it's going to get hidden.
Yeah.
The weight
There's
is
no
not
way they're
enough
opening
to...
two things.
Yeah. But, speaking of two things, you know what else has the number 2 on it?
This next story?
This second story!
Woo!
Gotcha. All right,
if it's not by OP, I don't want to read it.
It's always by OP.
My entitled roommate tried to kick me out of our apartment because I refused to pay extra for utilities.
Kick her out!
In my original post, I had talked about my entitled roommate, Brandy, not the singer. The TLDR of that story is how she completely screwed me over with the Wi-Fi bill, giving me the password of our neighbor's Wi-Fi across the hall and still charging me for Wi-Fi in our apartment.
So she was stealing money from OP and stealing Wi-Fi.
Double thumped. When I confronted her about it, she denied everything and told me that she didn't owe me a cent. By the way, this comes from Gingerella19. What a username on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So Brandy and I continued living with each other for the next several months. We remained cordial to one another, mostly stayed out of each other's way. This was relatively easy since the last few months I lived there. She practically lived at her boyfriend's apartment down the hill from where our apartment building was. See the hot water story from my original post if you want a good laugh about how she thought plumbing worked. So during the pandemic, I started struggling with the loneliness that comes with social distancing. I was really depressed, and one of the main things keeping me going on days I felt especially lonely was the cat my roommate had. I've had animals pretty much my whole life, and their company can really fill that empty space for companionship that I need. However, as Brandy started spending more time at her boyfriend's apartment, she started taking the cat with her. Those days were hard. However, because it was her cat and not mine, I never asked her to leave him with me, even though I was really struggling. So I started thinking about getting a cat for myself. I've introduced cats into new spaces and social situations several times before, so I felt confident that I could do that here. I thought it over for a while because I didn't want to get a new cat only to start going back to work and leave it alone 90% of the time. I also wanted to make sure I was ready for the lifelong commitment that comes with having a pet. So anyways, I decided to get a cat. I approached Brandy to talk it over with her. At first, she seemed open to the prospect, but then suddenly she wasn't. She told me no, as if I were a child asking a parent for something. I was so frustrated because I owned the apartment just as much as she did and had always been more than considerate with her. And she's had the cat.
She's at the cat. I mean, of course, it is kind of tricky introducing a new cat from what I've heard.
This is true. This is true.
So it's like not, you can't just like, you gotta like, you know.
Yeah. It's definitely it would be like a slow process, but it's like, yo, you got a cat and now I can't have a cat.
Yeah.
It's unjust.
It's not right. It's just not right.
Tell him. So I approached her to discuss it one more time, and she started telling me she didn't want another animal in her apartment because her cat already lived there. Here's the reason she gave. 1, cats can't share litter boxes, so that's going to be an issue. Anyone who owns cats knows that they can and do all of the time. 2, well, it's going to scratch up my couch and rug. Her own cat already did that frequently, and she had to put protective covers on the couch for that reason. I explained that I'd be happy to meet her halfway. I'll pay for a better quality couch covers than the one she already had and replace the rug with a different one if she was concerned about it. 3, finally, her Hail Mary attempt was well, the day you bring another cat into this apartment, I'm going to put my couch in storage, and you'll have to sit on something else there if you want to sit in the living room. I calmly explained that I didn't move in with her for the couch. I calmly explained that I didn't move in with her for the couch. I moved in for a place to live. I told her that I'd be coming up with an alternative solution for the couch. However, at this point, I was not asking her. I was telling her. OP means freaking business. She was not happy with this and accused me of holding back on telling her I was getting a cat until after we renewed the lease. I explained that I had not decided to get a cat until my job announced that we would all be working from home for at least another 6 months, which was several weeks after we had signed the lease. We have the timeline.
Yeah.
I also told her that even though I wanted to adopt an older cat for a bonded pair, I felt like it would be easier to just get one kitten because kittens are usually easier to introduce into new environments and new cats. And I was trying my best to compromise with her. She finally gave in and accepted that I was going to get a cat. Surprise, surprise, she did not remove the couch despite her threats. When I finally found a kitten to take home, I let Brandy know when I'd be taking her home so she would know. Also, I feel like it's low-key so hard to stay mad at the roommate when there's just like adorable little kitten.
You're like, I don't want a cat in here. It's really cute.
Freak, I kind of want some
Really
kitty
cute.
cuddles. Some little kitty cuddles, you know.
I would love to get a dog.
Dog would be phenomenal. Would
Yeah.
just be amazing. We shall see. I gave her the plan I was following from an online pet journal so she would know how this was going to go. The day arrived and I brought my new kitten home. I brought the kitten into my room, which was ready with toys, food, and a new scratching pad. I left her in there to curiously explore it with my boyfriend supervising. Brandy asked when her cat and mine were going to meet. I reiterated that they weren't meeting that day because my kitten needed a few days to acclimate to the room and recognize it as her safe space. My roommate practically blew a fuse and started yelling at me that I had wasted her time and that I should have explained that. I reminded her that I did explain in my text messages and that I had sent her the plan that I was going to follow so she could see it for herself. She said, I'm not going to read all of that text. That's like a novel. It's like Wikipedia. It's like a almanac. Like it's like too much.
That's like Bram Stoker's Dracula. Inspiration to Nosferatu.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to find something to throw at you if you mention
Editors-
that vampire
editors-
one more time.
Every time she mentions the movie Nosferatu, just cut out the audio. Just cut out the audio.
Yep.
pixelate her mouth for the rest of the episode.
Yep, every time.
Every single time, editor. Don't let her get away with it. I will watch the episode. Anyways, I told her it was her own fault for not reading it and that I had done everything I could to prepare her. We also had a few in-person conversations about it, but apparently she didn't remember any of those either. She then started yelling at me about how I was a terrible roommate and how all I did was lock myself in my room with my boyfriend all the time. And now I'm just going to do that with the kitten too. She then started complaining about other things I was doing that upset her. She accused me of never cleaning around the apartment. I cleaned my own bathroom, bedroom, and cleaned up after myself in the kitchen. I reminded her that I offered to work on some sort of cleaning schedule with her when I first moved in. However, she had told me that she had a certain way she liked things and that she would just do it all herself. I continually checked in with her while I lived there, but she kept saying not to worry about it. Now, all of a sudden, it was an issue. She then grabbed our full bin of recyclables, picking out things that were mine, and started throwing them on the floor, telling me I never emptied the recyclables. I did. And how I left so much stuff in there, and sometimes so that she'd have to make multiple trips down to the dumpster to empty it. I am likely in the wrong for this next comment, but here it goes.
Let's judge.
We listen, but we do judge.
We judge big time.
We do both.
Got him. I told her I never complained when I had to make multiple trips because how much frickin' drank she was drinking every week, and that I didn't exactly enjoy living with a booziac roommate. Deduce that as you will. She drinks a lot. She often fills the recycling bin by the end of the week with all of her own bottles of beer and wine.
Dang, man.
That did it.
That was it.
She screamed, "I want you out of my apartment!" I reminded her I lived here too and that you couldn't just kick me out.
You can't kick me out. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theory, she then shows you a piece of paper that has not your name on the lease because you signed a fake lease agreement.
She then gives you a piece of paper that's in a different language and says, sign your name here. And you've accidentally divorced.
And married. You married and divorced the roommate.
Mm-hmm.
It was the top signature was marry and the bottom was divorce. Stand on it, Sophia.
Thank you.
Stand on that. I told her she treated me like a house guest, not a roommate. We yelled back and forth some more before she finally left the apartment and I went back to my room. I burst into tears and my boyfriend comforted me. I no longer felt safe or responsible having a new kid in the apartment, and to be honest, I wasn't sure if Brandy could kick me out or not. I had never co-signed a lease with anyone before. Oh, so maybe she was like the secondary signer.
Yeah, so he wasn't on this actual lease.
Maybe either a sublease, or if it's a sublease, she's in trouble. But if she was like if there's like a main signer, and then someone who's like, oh, like, okay, this is in Brandy's name, but OP is also living here. We're acknowledging that, and they're paying rent. Yeah, I don't know. I thought about it all and talked it over with my boyfriend for the next several hours. His apartment didn't allow animals, so that was a non-starter, and ended up taking the kitten back to the home we had gotten her from. The kitty.
That's so sad. And they also hate when you do that.
It's true. I cried the whole way there. I said goodbye and gave them a pet carrier I had brought to transport her in so she'd have something familiar to go home in when someone else took her home. I cried for the next few days. She was such a sweet kitten. I wish I had gotten to know her, but I'm sure she ended up in a much better living situation. I installed a doorknob with a lock and a key in my door that weekend and was the only person with the key. I no longer felt safe in my apartment unless my door was locked. I spent almost all of my time in my bedroom. I wasn't working at the desk in the public space in our dining/living room area. If she was in the apartment, I was usually at my boyfriend's. Finally, I called the apartment complex and asked if Brandy was actually able to remove me from the lease like she had threatened. They confirmed that we co-leased together, meaning that neither one could kick the other one out.
Neither
Thank
can
goodness.
live.
My thing was wrong.
Thank
goodness.
Yeah, this is a Harry Potter. Oh my god, you got my reference.
You know how many... Sophia, do you want to know how many... Can you guess how many times I read Harry Potter?
Not more than me.
Really?
We put bets in? How much we betting?
I lost count. I'm going to be honest.
But maybe up to your... And we can maybe even give you a little bigger room. Now I'm afraid
Yeah.
Bet.
And I
Bet.
think Sophia's read more than me.
Bet.
I'm going to bet in Sophia's favor. So we're
Okay.
both betting in
Okay.
Sophia's favor.
But there's no money lost. Bet on yourself.
I'll bet $1.
I'll bet $1.
Let's do it. Real cash. Real cash on the
Real
line.
cash.
Real cash. Shake on it.
Shake.
Shake. There we go. All right.
Again, I lost count after a
but
certain amount.
We're taking your, like,
Well, then say your certain amount, Sophia, because
say my
John
certain
knows his exactly.
I know mine.
I don't know mine
Say
after
it.
a certain amount.
Just say
I
it.
lost
you-
count after
but
around.
you have a number in mind that you can
Yes.
use. Yeah.
All right, how many? Go.
7.
Sophia, go. Go, Sophia.
I think I read Harry Potter too much.
Say it.
I lost count after 20.
Honestly, I don't blame you.
Because I would read it like every year.
It's so
Like
good.
sometimes twice a year.
I started, actually, you know what? It might be 8 because I think I did start rereading it during COVID.
Yeah.
I think I did.
Probably, I want to say 20, but it's probably somewhere in the 15 to 20 because I read it every year since my dad started reading it to me. And then I started listening to the audiobooks every year. So
It slaps every time.
Every time it's
Like
good.
it just goes every
Yeah.
time. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I am, as we speak, sending Sophia Donner $1.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna lowball myself and say it was probably 15 because which still beats you, but I don't want to lie or anything because I'm not quite sure.
But you know what? That's way more than my measly
Yeah.
7 to 8.
It's true, but no, that's still pretty good though because it's whole series. Yeah,
whole series.
whole series is pretty good.
It wasn't a joke, and that was like also back to back,
Yeah.
mind you. If this was like, I would just end it and just.
Same. No,
Read it
exactly
again.
what I would do.
Anyways, so Opie says, so at least I have a place to live. She started being more cold and passive aggressive. Her next thing was demanding I pay her my half of the security deposit. When I moved in, I immediately asked what half was, and she said, I'm probably not getting the security deposit back for this place, so don't worry about it. Now she was insisting. I told her I would only give it to our apartment complex because I didn't trust her not to keep the money out of spite. So smart. Especially considering how she handled the issue with the Wi-Fi. Yeah, it's like, hey, I'll give them half and then they'll send you back half.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
do
she
that.
definitely would have pocketed your money if you just gave it to her.
She kept insisting I pay her, and I held my ground, and eventually she gave up. I wasn't destructive when I lived there. If anything, her cat was more likely to destroy something. He'd frequently eaten any food I left unsupervised for less than 10 minutes. Once he took the thick plastic cover off of a rotisserie chicken that was supposed to last me a week because he wanted it. Torn lampshades, and even had torn down a canopy I had installed over my bed twice. She never reimbursed me for any of the damage he did to my property, saying, I told you I was getting a cat when you moved in. It's your responsibility because you knew this might happen.
But OP also loves him, it seems.
The cat, yes.
Yeah.
Opie does live to kitty.
Love to kitty.
So what you gonna
Loves
do?
the kitty, but the kitty's a menace.
So Opie says, yeah, she was a real peach. Finally, I found out that since I was only a co-lessee, I could leave whenever without being penalized for it financially from the apartment complex.
Oh.
Whoa, Opie's got the best of both worlds.
Yeah. You can't get kicked out and also don't have to
I can
necessarily pay.
see ya, Nara.
Mhm.
So my boyfriend asked if I would get an apartment with him, and I agreed. We started looking for places and eventually found somewhere with a decent space for the two of us.
And a kitty? Can you get a kitty?
Maybe. The first apartment we wanted wasn't ready until the second week of the following month, though. So we went with a better option that compromised for everyone. There was another unit that was available the third week of the month we were in, meaning I would be leaving earlier than expected. However, it would be easier for Brandy, who was already planning on moving her boyfriend in that same week. Dude, everybody wins. Let's freaking go. I decided not to ask for reimbursement of my fourth week of rent because I figured that would be petty. Despite everything that happened, I just wanted to leave as peacefully as possible and put the whole thing behind me. We got approved for the apartment and began making plans to move.
Love it.
Love it. However, do you think that was easy?
A little too easy, honestly.
Do you think that was super simple?
That was too easy.
and
Yeah.
everyone
Something
thought it
happened.
was great.
I think something got in the way.
You went away with 0 blood spilt.
Yeah, no.
No. Of course not.
No.
Brandy was a menace to live with. The last month I lived there was during a heat wave, and the air conditioning worked well in the rest of the apartment, but not my room.
Oh my God, that sucks.
Maintenance came over multiple times and kept telling me it was fine, but I really couldn't cool down my room, even though I kept Couldn't cool down my room without keeping the AC on high.
She definitely blocked something.
She would like put a blocker in. They
Yeah.
would take it out. Maintenance is like, oh, this looks good. Plop it back in. This was absolutely my fault, and I ran up the gas bill very high in the last month, like 2 times what we normally spent. Brandy sent me a text with the bill and was furious. I apologized and took full responsibility. However, she said that because she had spent most of the past month at her boyfriend's apartment, I should pay the full bill. I lost it. I'd put up with this woman's temper tantrums for a full year and was not about to pay 4 times what I normally paid simply because she was acting like a Karen, demanding a free 4-course meal because her dish wasn't hot enough. I finally put my foot down and told her, no. I told her I would gladly pay for the difference in cost. She paid what she would normally pay, and I pay what I would normally pay plus the amount that was over our usual balance.
I think that's fair because I was going to say, I was
Brilliant
like, that's a little bit messed up if you're not paying, you know.
Like she's paying 1x and she's
Yeah.
paying the 3x out
Yeah,
of the 4.
I think that's fair.
Yes. However, she didn't get a free pass on utilities simply because she decided to live in her boyfriend's for a month. What's next? I pay for the full rent of the apartment. She told me I was being unreasonable and that the day I moved out, she would send me one final itemized payment request on Venmo for the full amount of the gas bill, plus all of the other utilities and the cost of rent.
Dang.
I shot back with, okay, since we're penny pinching, if you do that, I will send you back the amount you requested, minus the 4 months of Wi-Fi you wrongfully charged me and never paid back, and the last week of rent. I won't be living in the apartment. I will itemize it so you can see everything.
Nice.
She did not take that well. She told me that was unnecessary. And I also love how they're like an itemization war.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, I'm going to list of it. Like, well, I got this list of items here and I'm going to charge you for all of it. And she's like, oh, Jesus, my list item big enough to.
Like, dang it.
Like, they're both just going to like send $1,000.
I'll
Like,
add groceries and minus the cost of water and trash.
yeah. Dude.
I'll
Wow.
trade you 4 trash for 1 Wi-Fi bill.
Deal. She told me that was unnecessary, and I added that I'd picked an early week to accommodate her boyfriend's move-in date if she was going to be petty about the whole thing. So was I.
Plot twist.
We didn't speak even the day I moved. We and some friends packed everything up, stuck it up in the truck, and were moved into our new place by nightfall. The next morning, I received the faded invoice request from Brandy and breathed a sigh of relief. She requested only about half of every utility, including the gas bill, and then deducted the cost of the Wi-Fi and my last week of rent.
OP got it in the end.
OP got it in the end.
Got it in the end.
We love to see it.
Love to see a winner win.
OP says, finally had a win. There's one more little happy ending here. A few weeks prior to the move, a friend got me in touch with a lady who ran a shelter from her home for feral cats and kittens. I offered to donate the toys and food I had bought for the kitten I had originally brought home because it made me so sad to look at them. I ended up donating some extra litter and food as well because I just really love cats. When I went to drop them off, she introduced me to a feral mom cat who had just had a litter of kittens. What's so funny, Riley?
Just like feral.
It's
cat.
a feral
It's just a
mommy
feral
cat.
Yeah,
They
just-
found
I
a
don't
cat
know.
and it's pregnant.
What's the joke?
What's funny about a mother?
Where's the punchline? Do you hate mothers? Is that it?
Is that
It's just
it,
like-
Riley?
Feline
She
mothers?
introduced me to feral cats. I loved it. I
Feral
don't know.
cats in your area. Call 1-800.
feral?
Feral mothers in your area.
Oh God.
I'm not getting that ad again. I'm not falling for that again.
Riley's off the feral moms.
Yeah, I don't know. Just feral cats in my head are different than everyone else's. Cause
What does that mean?
well, if we have
What does that mean?
if there are feral cats near where I live, they're either really big or like we have to shoo them away. There was a feral cat that lived. Okay, there was a feral cat that was in my neighborhood with all my family, and it was scratching cars. So we had to take it to the sawmill. Didn't unalive
Oh
it.
God.
But there's other cats at the sawmill, and it made friends, and now it lives with the other cats.
Okay.
That was smart. That was a
Checking
smart
my
move.
fire tracker.
I like it. True. She offered to let me meet them, and I said yes. She put the runt of the litter, a tiny little tortoiseshell, in my arms, who proceeded to crawl up my arm and play with my hair. I was in love instantly.
Aw, Opie finally got her happy ending with this feral mom cat.
The cat is crawling. The cat has not been adopted
No.
yet. We don't know.
Yay.
We don't know.
Ooh.
The only thing we know and love, like an adorable kitten, is that you can listen to full episodes with stories just like these. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, guys, wherever you're listening to podcasts, and you just search OK Storytime. It's gonna pop right up for you.
Pop right up.
Do it.
Just
Listen.
do it.
Just do it. But 2 months later, my boyfriend and I brought the tortoiseshell kitten and her brother, who has been on and off my lap while I type this out, to their forever home with us at our new apartment.
Ah!
In-
Yes!
But then they fell deathly ill. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. They're safe and happy. It's all good. All right.
Don't play with my emotions like that.
Oh, I
Don't
already
ever do
did.
John.
Don't ever do it again.
Don't ever do that.
So we've been spoiling them with nonstop love and
Aw.
affection ever since. My boyfriend and I are so happy together in our new home. He kind of saved me by suggesting we move in together, and I could not be more grateful. I love him, our cats, and my life so much now. It was honestly kind of emotional writing this whole thing out. It was sort of a traumatic experience, but I'm so happy where my life is right now. Now, I haven't spoken to Brandy since I moved out, and honestly, I don't care to. I hope for her sake she's well and that she grew that F up, because dear God Almighty, she needs to grow up. God diddly dang.
And there you have it.
There you freaking have it.
Sometimes you just need to put the foot down and itemize that bill.
Just put the foot down
Put the foot down,
Put the
itemize that
foot
bill,
down.
and get the cat.
and get the cat.
Harriet Spaghetti says, Sophia threatening people is adorable, like a small child threatening people.
I agree with that statement.
What?
It is adorable.
I'm terrified.
I'm so terrifying.
We're gonna show up at your bed tonight with a
Yeah.
saw, with a machete.
I'm gonna give you an Indian burn, and it's gonna hurt. And
Get her real
I'm-
bad.
I don't know. What do kids do? You know, I'm gonna push you off the swing set.
No.
That would actually hurt.
No, they just snipe each other on Fortnite.
Oh, jeez.
I'm gonna snipe you on Fortnite.
These kids these
I'm gonna
days.
hit you with a Nerf gun.
I'm
Riley
gonna
taught me how
skibidi
to.
goon you.
Riley taught me how to use the machine Nerf gun.
Yeah, because
The
some
machine.
random person, well, they weren't random, but some person knocked at our door at 11:30 at night, and I was like, Sophia, grab that. I'm going to check the door. You know what this girl does? She's just like, what do I do with this? I'm like, no, aim it at the door in case something happens.
Wanted me to shoot a random person with a Nerf bullet.
Imagine it was like one of our like elderly neighbors that's just
Yeah.
like checking in on us.
Sh-
Like,
okay.
hey, Sonnies, how you doing with the fire?
Ah!
Grandma!
She's not going to
Granny!
shoot them. She's just going to check them, like aim it, be ready, and then if something happens, she can
She's
just
just like,
boom.
Sup?
Boom.
I'm looking.
Distraction. I take care of it. She helps out, calls the cops,
Yeah.
and we're good.
Riley's really
Whoa.
invested in my protection. He's also given me a baseball bat that's now sits by my bedside.
Yep.
He's like, what do you do if someone comes into your bed? I go, I don't know. I wear mouth tape and earplugs.
She's useless, bro. She's dead. She's already dead. She's already
My
half
God,
dead.
You won't even hear me scream.
Same.
All they got to
Oh
do
my
is
gosh.
Yeah.
pinch your nose, and you're done for.
Yeah.
Good thing I was gonna say we got a house of dudes protecting her, but
You don't live here.
I don't.
Okay, we got
So,
Christian,
I can't do it.
Sam.
We'll
me.
sacrifice Christian to them.
Yeah.
We'll just
I'm literally the last room in the house. They wouldn't go to me.
Well, we're
That's true.
kind of.
I also feel like you could jump out of the window elegantly like a cat,
Yeah.
like in the story.
Oh, easily.
Speaking of these
I'm
stories.
such a good climber. I could climb out.
Oh, I believe it. Guys, if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow.